Perfect. Well, here we are at the Green Burial Chronicles of Morgan Oaks, Eternal Preserve, Lincoln, California. And I'm so excited because I have TR here. If you follow anything at Morgan Oaks, you've seen TR's recent viral video on our social media. And you have been one of my customers, one of my friends since almost the beginning. So I'm excited to chat with you today because you hold a special place in Morgan Oaks, but also with me. So you are a special human and you have a lot of cool stuff. I was reading over your questionnaire here. So official introduction is consultant coach of Bietsch Performance Company and principal of Sell My Business. And just for those of you listening, I always ask these people just like some questions about themselves. And so I'm not going to read this because I think it's far better if you just give us a little bio about who are you?
Currently, I run two businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm a father and a grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
My son lives in Texas with his beautiful wife Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
He is an orthodontist. They have two practices there, and they have 4 boys.
So I go a lot of boys.
Yes, when I go down, it's like a gang. Okay, they're just so wonderful. And I have a daughter in Cincinnati. She's married
Mm-hmm.
to Richard, and they have 2 children, a boy and girl there.
Love it.
And I live in the Lincoln area, in the Sun City area.
Yep.
I enjoy living there. And I'm currently, I seem to not be able to figure out how to retire.
I feel like that's what happens, especially with business people. So good for you, though. Keeps your brain going, keeps you going. So listeners, if you're like, Stephanie, why do you have this man on your podcast? Who is he? What is your connection to Morgan Oaks? Like, what is Morgan Oaks to you? Like, why is it important to you? What's there that, tell me why you're connected to us or how?
Yep. It started in 2019. And that's probably about the time,
Yeah.
that was definitely the time that we met.
Yep.
My son, who at the time was 33 years old, had cancer, and once diagnosed, he passed 10 days later.
Wow. I don't think I knew that.
And his name is John.
Mm-hmm.
We had no plans for burial at that point. We hadn't even looked into it at all. So Vicki and I started looking into it, and we have been conservationists and sustainable people for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
As a family, I have been in sustainable energy and engineering and conservation for energy.
Mm-hmm.
My wife. She saved farms. She saved the whales. She was involved in just about everything. She was quite an activist. And my son was studying to be a water and wastewater operator.
Okay.
And he was getting ready to graduate, and he would have been working as an operator for water plants. And he said he was going to save the Earth's water. So we all had that conservation bug in us.
Yeah.
So when we walk around a normal cemetery, it just didn't have, it wasn't us.
Mm-hmm.
And someone, I forget who, honestly, gave me the idea of going up and checking out Morgan Oaks Preserve. And we did. And I think we met you at some point up there. We walked around. I'm a veteran. And
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to hear. And so we selected 3 plots in the Valhalla area, which is the veterans area.
Yeah.
And so shortly after that, we placed John there.
Yeah. I remember meeting with you.
Yeah.
I remember it was, for the listeners, that was like right when we opened. We were very, very new. I was super new to what was going on. And I remember meeting you and Vicki, and you guys were you were great, obviously. Now you've been in our life at Morgan Oaks for 4 years, and For those of you listening, you could tell us you visit often.
Yes. Well,
Tell us about that.
The end of this story
Okay.
is that a year ago,
Oh, sorry.
my wife, Vicky, passed,
Yes.
and she had ALS for about 4 years. So it's actually going on 6 years since John's been.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's 20, it was spring of 2019.
Wow.
Vicky was interned there. She wanted to be in the middle. She always told me that. So she was in the middle, and I'm on one of the ends, along with John.
Somewhere in there, yes.
Somewhere. So yeah, she liked being there. We would go up and together and see John and walk around, and there's just something about walking around there. Mine somewhat got extended, and I would go up there and I would see them. And just as a matter of grief and grieving, at least I tend to talk to both of them through the house, whatever I'm doing. So I would go up there and I would stop by their grave and I'd pick them up.
Okay, wait, give the listeners a visual, because you guys, he's not picking anything physical up.
No,
So
correct, right.
Talk to us. What does that look like when you pick them up? What does that
So
look like?
I go up and usually I stop at her tree, which is on my way there. She has a memorial tree, and she has a little memorial bench just next to it.
Yep.
That Omar was able to relocate to a better place. Okay, we found a better place for the
More
bench.
aesthetically pleasing place. Yes.
And so I would sit there and tell him I'm on my way. I'm just tying my shoes. Then I would walk over and tell him I'm here. Are you guys ready for a walk? And I would reach down and kiss my hand and place it on each one of their faces and go, okay, let's get started. I got lots of stuff to fill you guys in on, And we take off, and it's about a 2-mile walk up and down the foothills. And during that period of time, I'd tell, John always walked out in front, because whenever we went hiking, he was always out in front.
Yep.
And I'd tell Vicky, tap me on the shoulder if I'm walking too fast. And I would just fill him in, And it tends to be an event for me that kind of settles me down, it settles my grieving and allows me to get words out of what I'm doing, and kind of a little bit of a self-analysis of myself. Am I doing the right things for myself, and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a great spiritual event for me.
Yeah.
As well as probably a good, strong emotional event for me.
For sure. How often, and okay, so let's go back so for the listeners, in case they've never been out there and they hear you say, okay, I pick them up and we go through the foothills, you guys, we have just over 3 miles of walking trails. So by the time TR gets to their plot and then walks the grounds with them, it is about 2 miles, and it's beautiful scenery and so healing, I'm sure, for your journey. And TR, you're out there, what would you say, at least once a week?
Oh, at least once, yeah,
okay,
or more. Yeah.
And he's so funny. He always stops by the office to be like, I got to get out there because I got a lot of things to tell Vicky today. I got updates. I got, so.
That's true.
What has been one of your favorite things about Morgan Oaks? I know you guys came out there and, obviously fell in love with it in the moment, but probably didn't know something like this existed. And so you were looking at other cemeteries. But now that you've been here for this extended period, what has become your favorite part of Morgan Oaks, and what are things that you hope listeners know about what we do, what we offer, maybe your healing process, things like that?
I think the walkabout is probably number one, because it allows me to just mentally relax. And I'm a hiker anyway, and I'm a bike rider, so I enjoy being outside. In fact, sometimes I'll ride my bike there. That's probably number one. I think the quietness, the sereneness. It's a different type, but it's a different type of serene than, say, a normal, cemetery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you look out there, you don't see, don't see headstones. You see trees. Compliments to Omar. Is it Nate? Jake,
Yep.
rather. These guys are incredible, and I always stop and see them, give them a hug on my way around, right? And so I've gotten to know the staff. You see nothing but trees and the natural grasses that are in that area, and so it's a real calming place. You don't even feel like you're in a cemetery, so to speak.
Yeah.
You really feel like you're in a preserve.
Yeah.
And with ample walking places, and it's all gravel roads, and there's no cement and stuff. It's just very natural. And I think that having this conservation heart, it just plays, it just plays to my heart.
I love that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about, you're a veteran.
Yes.
Well, first, let's talk about, okay, so veterans typically have the ability to go to special cemeteries. And so for you, you could have gone to like the one in Dixon. So tell me, again, it's probably but it's beautiful. What was the overarching reason that you said, you know what, I don't want to go there, I want to be here? Was it simply because we have that preserve and that stuff, or were there other things that drew you into what Morgan Oaks offers for veterans?
Initially, and you guys have grown a lot in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
It was that number one, I wanted something that was close to home.
Yeah. Okay.
And number two, I wanted something other than your normal stones and so forth. And I also wanted a veteran. I would have preferred to have a veterans area. Yes, maybe to honor me, but mostly to honor John, who went down and tried to join the Navy, and he failed their test, and he couldn't get into the Navy, and he was just so upset.
Okay.
And I just told him in those last days that, there's a veteran and a patriot inside of you, and we're going to honor that.
I love that. So for the listeners that don't know, our veteran section allows not only the veteran, but their entire family. And that's really special to me, because most veteran cemeteries, it's veteran and spouse, and then you can't have we'll let cousins, uncles, aunts, if you'll claim them, we'll take them. So I love that, because there's a lot of families that it is really important to have their people with them. I love that John has a special story, that was near and dear to his heart. And so how cool is it that he gets to be in that garden with you and Vicky? So that's really cool. I love that. And so, okay, so let's talk a little bit about some fun facts about you. I'm reading all these things. You're coaching. So you do some coaching, but I want to read this one. Where did I see this? You spent some time, you're a veteran.
Yes.
What branch?
Navy, U.S. Navy Submarine Service.
I love it. So you spent some time underwater, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so that was one of the questions, one of your fun facts. And so tell me this. It says, what's one thing that most wouldn't guess about you? Do you remember what you wrote?
Probably that I spent time underwater, right, or something like that.
Yeah, so you wrote, most wouldn't guess that I once lived and worked months at a time underwater as a Navy submarine nuclear operator, which probably explains why I really appreciate a good walk in the sun, because you probably didn't see it for months, right? So tell me now that you've kind of progressed into this new season of life, and we've talked a little bit about that. As far as your healing journey, I know Morgan Oaks has been a big place for that, with your walking and taking them and visiting with our staff. And, TR is always out telling us creating and being innovative and new ideas that we should do at the cemetery, which we love. They're so great. What else are you doing to not retire and not be bored or lonely? Maybe I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that are in similar places and are lonely because they don't know what to do in their grief.
Yeah, probably two things.
Okay.
The first one is I have tried to back off from business a little bit, but instead I've gotten more work, you know, and, but it's work I enjoy.
Sure.
Okay. I am a consultant coach, and there's a big difference between being a consultant and being a coach, but I only coach and I only consult in business. And it's it's almost impossible to coach someone in business without their problems with the business coming up. And when that happens, you're going from a coaching mode to a consulting mode. The biggest difference is who owns the goal.
Yeah.
As a consultant, the consultant owns the goal. Because he's the specialist, he's going to fix it. He's going to tell you what the solution is. He's going to give you a price and a time period and say, I will fix it.
Sure.
Okay. If you are coaching, the person you're coaching owns the goal.
Sure.
Your job is to help them move toward that goal by selected questions,
Sure.
recommendations, exercises, a wide variety. So, and I tell them in the beginning when we start, there's going to be times when I'm going to be a consultant, and sometimes I'm going to be a coach.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them when that happens. I said, we're now going into an area where you don't have the solution. I said, you're asking me to come up with the idea as to how to fix it, which means I own the goal.
Yeah.
And it doesn't change the financial arrangement at all. It's just that it's important for them to know when I'm asking them questions to coach them versus asking them questions to understand what needs to get fixed.
Sure.
So I'm two people when I talk to them in two different processes.
Sure.
A short time ago, I moved into another area and working with companies, finding many companies who wanted to sell their business and did not understand the key performance indicators, the metrics, the things that are needed for them to sell that business. In many cases, they weren't ready to sell.
Sure.
You know, if they're going to entertain a suitor for their business, they need to be able to show that they are a predictable, profitable, and scalable company.
Sure.
That company, especially if it's outside dollars, private equity or otherwise, they're probably going to sell that business in 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So there's a whole series in there of helping them understand. So I don't sell the business.
Yeah.
I prepare them to sell the business.
Sure. Right. Yeah. So it sounds like in this season of life, you've really honed in on working and peopling and keeping yourself busy to stay out of the grief at times, right? So
Yeah.
so I think that's great. Like you are very involved with your businesses and with the people that are connected. I know you guys because I've been trying to book him for months to be on our podcast, and he's very busy and he flies planes and he's always going somewhere. And I love that about you, is that you've just stayed busy. You know what's good for you mentally, emotionally, physically in this season of your life. And so tell me, as far as Morgan Oaks goes, if there are people listening that just really don't know much about what we do or anything, or, bits and pieces, what would you hope today that they would hear in your interview, your podcast? What are key takeaways that you would love for them to know about you and your maybe grief, what Morgan Oaks offers, how things work there? What would that look like for you?
Staying busy is probably my number one.
Okay.
And it's not a conscious, I have to stay busy today. It's just, I grew there. Okay. And that's just where I'm at. And that includes, recently reaching out, and doing some dating, and seeing where that goes.
Yep.
So I would like to have companionship back in my life.
Yep.
So that's kind of a part of it as well.
And let's stop there for a minute. Hold on, because I want to hit on this, because I think this is a really interesting subject for a lot of people listening. You lost your wife. It's been just a year. And so for those listeners that are like, oh, I don't know when the right time to get back out there is, or do I want that again? TR came and we chit chatted and, just talked about life. And I love that. And I think one of the coolest things I heard TR say in that season, that moment, was I'm going to go out, I'm going to take Vicky for a walk, and I'm going to tell her about it. Like, I'm ready. And that has been a really big part of your growth, I'm sure, your next steps. And so for listeners that are going through, like, when do you know when it's time? When did you know it was time to, like, hey, I want to get back out there and have companionship?
It probably happened right around a year for me. For me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It was one of the talks I had with Vicky where I was, to some degree, seeking permission. Because she had always said, I don't want you to sit around the house. I want you to meet someone else. She says, I want you to love again. And that really stuck with me. And, and there's a side of me that needs that companionship, needs that hug, and needs somebody to share.
Yeah.
So it started with me having a talk in one of my talks, and I sensed that she wants me to love again. She wants me to meet someone and see where it goes.
Did you ever feel guilty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. There would be times when I would feel like I didn't just love Vicky, I adored her. No one could ever love me as much as she did. And probably vice versa. So so I keep telling myself this is kind of fleeting because I don't think but then as I started dating a few women, I'm finding out that I'm putting these internal limitations on having any kind of relationship because I expect her to be like Vicky.
Sure.
And I had talked with some friends. I think I even talked with you about it.
You did.
And said I've got to it's not lowering my bar, but it's kind of opening up my ideas that I'm not going to go out and meet someone in 2 or 3 weeks or a month or whatever and have that same level of love and respect that I had for 43 years.
Yeah.
So that all those discussions help. Just talking with your people. I talked with Nikki a little bit.
Yep.
And all good people. It's like you and your staff understand what the people are going through. When somebody shows up, to talk to you, what they're going through. You don't have to, you're not looking it up in a book and going, instinctively what's happening. And I think that's such a valuable asset. It was for me that one day we had a very open discussion, and I came away from that a different person, with a different emotional state that I needed to be in.
Good. I love that. Okay. So I cut you off there. So what are other things that you hope that they learn and know about Morgan Oaks from your journey?
You've provided a lot more information than you did originally. That's starting to happen. I mean, you're getting bulletins out every week. I think it tends to be. What's nice about it is that it's moved from just being maybe marketing. Come visit us. Come learn about us, and it's been more inviting the people that are already somewhat members, if you'll use the word member, and. So they're coming out and sharing, and you're getting to know more people. You're starting to find people that have similar issues, and they're very open about telling you how it's affected them, what their particular remedy was,
Right.
And providing some actual feedback based on actual situation.
Yeah. I think it's been, I'm grateful I've had a lot of people like you, one, do testimonials, to come on the podcast and share their stories. I think for listeners,
there are going to be people like you that are like, we don't care about where he was buried or what. I want to know about when he was ready to date again, or when he was ready to love again, or what does it look like to open your heart up? And we might think, well, you just figure it out. But like somebody else wants to know in our community that like, it's okay, I don't have to feel guilty. Or somebody might have a story like John where, he was a veteran at heart, but like never got to serve. And so there's so many things. We've created this incredible community that you're a part of. You're one of the leaders, you're one of the founding members, and that's so cool. So
Never looked at it that way, but
we have people like you that have helped create who we are. And I am grateful that someone said, call Morgan Oaks. And I'm grateful that I got to be the person that picked up the phone or showed up that day to guide you and lead your family in one of the hardest seasons of your life. So,
one element I did want to mention is when we did the celebration of life for Vicky, there were people that were able to make the celebration of life here in Lincoln.
Right.
And there were people that could not make it. I went and I spoke with you about a memorial tree. I found out the cost and enumeration to support that. And you were kind enough to put a link on the website so that people could make a donation. And that really put us over the top of people, making it easy for them to make a contribution. And we got the tree, we got the medallion. Omar was nice enough to find a bench that fell off the truck.
Right. Weird.
Okay. And put it exactly where we needed it.
Yeah.
And we donated that to John and the tree to Vicky, and everybody and everyone at the celebration of life. Most of them participated, and others that didn't, I sent out emails updating them along the way. To the one, they were so excited and thought that was just such a grand idea. I got notes back saying, we tried to do that for my dad and they couldn't plant a tree because of, there's all these limitations in other places.
Yeah.
This is a preserve. What do you mean you can't put a tree in it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we live for.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So if you're listening, which obviously you are, the trees that are around the property, those are roadside trees. And so whether or not you have someone buried at Morgan Oaks, so like my brother has a tree, I don't know if you know that, but it's up on Sunset Bridge. He's not laid to rest there, but in memory of him.
Yeah.
So you may not have someone laid to rest there, or you might just want an additional tree to memorialize them. We have what we call a roadside tree. And so those are really cool. And they come with these really great medallions that have their information. And so if someone is looking for something like that and another place has not been able to offer that, we will gladly plant a tree at Morgan Oaks. We have all kinds of oak trees. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for being a part of our Morgan Oaks community and the people that go there. And if you want to see TR live in the flesh, you can see him out on the property walking at least once a week. Typically, he likes to pick warmer times of the day. But we appreciate you. So thank you so much today for showing up and sharing your story.
I might add that I was there once and it was late afternoon. I think it was Nikki who was leaving, and she waited for me to get back before she left because she didn't want me out there walking alone.
Oh my gosh. We're always looking out for you.
Yeah, she's just a princess.
She is. That's why she's with us. So we're grateful for her. So, okay. And then last thing, obviously, we're on our podcast. We're on all social medias now, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So find us, follow us, awesome videos. And just in closing, walk gently, remember deeply, and celebrate the legacy of life. Thank you again.